Welcome to Beyond Bite Wings, the business side of dentistry, brought to you by Edwards and Associates PC. Join us as we discuss how to build your dental practice, optimize your income, and plan for your future. This podcast is distributed with the understanding that Edwards and Associates PC is not rendering legal, accounting, or professional advice. Listeners should consult with their business advisors before acting on any of the information that is shared. At Edwards and Associates PC, our business is the business of dentistry. For help or more information, visit our website at eanassociates.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond Bite Wings. And in today's episode, we actually have a very interesting topic to talk about, something that's been a buzzword for a few years now. It's become a very prominent topic amongst not just people that are trying to adopt this new concept, but also amongst prominent investors. And so within the studio, we have Robert.
Good afternoon.
And a special guest, Will. And the three of us, we will be discussing a lot about cryptocurrencies. Oh, hello, Will. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. Hello, everybody.
And the way this came about was, we've had numerous clients of ours and others that have asked us about cryptocurrency and, how do they get involved in it? How do they get started? Should they buy it? And so I reached out to an expert in the industry and someone that's been involved for 5+ years and has actually been so successful that in his mid-40s, he's able to retire from his chosen profession and be involved with cryptocurrency full-time. And that's Will. So Will, having said that, if someone calls me and says, hey, should I invest in cryptocurrency? How can I get started? What do some of these terms mean? I mean, the floor is yours.
Sure. Yeah. So cryptocurrency is a big buzzword lately, like you said. I'm sure people have heard like Dogecoin, the dog meme coin, Shiba Inu, another dog meme coin. Also, Elon Musk tweeting about Doge, and lately Tim Cook just disclosed that he owns cryptocurrency. So it's been around for about last 10+ years, and it's a very fast evolving field, and because it is a software. So it rapidly changes every single day, basically. Now, when it comes to investment, and it is a safe, how do you get involved? I think it depends on the risk tolerance level of everyone, because Bitcoin has been associated with like scam, or drugs, or illegal everything, basically. And so there's not a good association with Bitcoin, so in cryptocurrencies from the media outlets. Not everyone's ready to do it. I encourage everyone, before venturing into cryptocurrency, do your own research. Encourage everyone to watch some podcasts or listen to podcasts like this. Go on YouTube, go to websites and look at a few things. When you think you're ready, you think you can venture in. But you have to do your homework, meaning that once you want to do buy cryptocurrency as part of your portfolio assets, you have to do your due diligence on how to secure your own cryptocurrency, store them. There's a lot of responsibilities on top of that. So,
and I heard somewhere today that there's some 80 different cryptocurrencies available now.
Oh, gosh. No, actually, there are precisely over 10,000 cryptocurrencies available right now.
Wow. Had no idea.
No, not all of them are currency-based. There's a difference between a cryptocurrency, like a currency, versus like a coin, like a Bitcoin coin, versus token, which is a different utility. So out of the 10,000 cryptocurrency ecosystem, not all of them are currency. I'll say only a small percentage. The majority is tokens, basically.
Okay. And what are tokens?
So tokens can be utility value, such as they're not currency based. They're probably a governmental right to a certain project, or they can be a certain staking assets belong to a DeFi platform. You can think of them as a share of a company, basically.
And
But
when
they're
you
not
mention
really.
DeFi, you're talking about decentralized finance.
I'm sorry. Yes, it's called Decentralized Finance. So Decentralized Finance is the big movement in cryptocurrency lately. Basically, the model is you be your own bank. You don't need a bank anymore. You can basically bank on your own, host your own cryptocurrencies. You can actually put your assets up for borrowing, so you can borrow against your own assets without a bank. You can do all that on DeFi platform without like going to a real bank. So
I see. Now, I know there's a lot of technical aspects to this, but before we get into that, one common question that I get from pretty much all my clients that are trying to dive into this is that, is it safe? Is it secure? How do I know that if I put in money into this, that it's not going to get hacked? Because I know, as you mentioned earlier, it has something to do with the software, binary numbers. How do I know that whatever I invest in it is being invested in a secure platform?
exactly. So that's a good question. With any new technology, there's risk involved, obviously. So the risk level does change every single day, depending on the development of that certain platform. There's always a risk level, like your own money in the bank, like say with any local bank has its own associated risks, right? Depends on their security level, right? They can get hacked as well. But the normal assets in real world, you can actually be backed by FDIC and such. In crypto world, there's not FDIC insurance, but there's other insurance that you can buy in crypto world to secure your own assets. The big thing about cryptocurrency is once you buy them, you have to store them on a platform. Usually it's on such like a website called Coinbase. So they have their own security team and two-factor authentication. So it's pretty secure on a third-party platform. However, in the event they do get hacked, but they do have their own insurance to guard against that, so they can reimburse your asset back. Now, that won't be the same with smaller platform that can afford to do, to hire people and have the insurances. So I encourage everyone, if you want to buy cryptocurrency, buy them on big platform, established platforms such as Coinbase.com or Gemini.com or Kraken.com. And they all have United States banking license, which means they are under jurisdiction of United States banking, insurances and all that stuff as well. Now, if you want to venture into self-custody, meaning that if you want to store your own crypto, you can actually buy either a hardware wallet, such as Ledger, to store your money, meaning that if like say the bank goes down or Coinbase goes down, you still have your own money on this USB device that is hardware based, or you can download a software wallet to store your own cryptocurrency that is less secure because it can get hacked. Your own computer, right? So there's different risk levels. So basically, it comes down to this: you can store your cryptocurrency on a third-party platform that is, enterprise grade, such as Coinbase, or you can download your own software wallet, your own bank, and store that on your own computer. That is not what I recommend. Or you can buy a hardware wallet, such as Ledger or Trezor. That is what I recommend if you want to store your own cryptocurrency. Say if you want to take, Bitcoin with you anywhere in the world, that's what I suggest, not a software wallet. So.
And what kind of regulations? You mentioned that Coinbase and a couple of the other ones were regulated by the U.S. banking laws, but what kind of regulations are there that regulate really the people that are acting as their own banks?
Like individuals, you mean?
Yes.
There's not a clear law because this field is so new. All the banking laws were established back in the early 1900s or late 1800s. With digital assets, there's not any clear regulations just yet. They're basically treated as properties right now, not currency, basically. So it's not really it's kind of weird. They're taxed as a property, but they're they're treated as currency in a lot of ways. So there's not really any clear like a regulatory body of the government that steps out and go, okay, this is my jurisdiction, I'll take care of that. Right now, it's pretty contested between like SEC and the other branches of the government. They all want to their hands in there. So
are the SEC and the IRS getting more involved?
they are. But what's funny is they will say each other doesn't have certain rights to do certain things. So, but they are getting more involved, definitely. IRS definitely, because they want to tax the gains. By the way, if you have cryptocurrency, it's an open ledger, meaning that everyone can see it. It's definitely not hidden. So you better be paying your tax. So I don't think you can just buy and sell without anyone noticing, because Coinbase will report you if you buy and sell. SEC also, they have they're passing laws and they're cracking down things quite a bit. So they're trying to clear out the field, but they move very slow. That's the problem, is they're always moving a lot slower than you expect them to. So we're not there yet.
Well, I know the IRS isn't there yet. They've been, I guess, threatening or publishing articles saying that they're, wanting to audit more of these transactions, but really, what kind of access do they have? I mean, are there any reports that are given to investors, like if you were with a broker, you get a 1099 at the end of the year? If you're investing in cryptocurrency, do you get any kind of form that you're supposed to give to your tax return preparer?
So that's a very good question, Robert. So if you are transacting established websites, kind of like Coinbase or Gemini or Kraken, you will get a 1099 end of the year that you can actually give to your CPA. But if you are a smaller platform, kind of like KuCoin or Gate.io or these, international body exchanges, you sometimes don't have, they are not United States based. So you have to download your transaction onto an Excel sheet a lot of times and import that into a software that can figure that out for you, which it gets more complicated. So that's why I encourage everyone to transact through larger exchanges. So that makes it easier for yourself and also your CPA.
And isn't the reporting relatively recent? Because it seems like to me that, we've had clients that have called us and said, gee, I've got an 8-figure crypto account. Is that something I need to tell you about?
Yeah. So this is a tricky situation because Coinbase, so IRS have not done anything for many years in the beginning phase of cryptocurrency. I think it was the 2019 when they started to, or 18, they started to force Coinbase to report anyone that has transacted over $20,000 on the platform. So basically they want to list off all the traders that have bought and sold everything that's above $20,000. This is a few years ago.
Right.
And so Coinbase has to come up with a list for the RAS. I'm sure that, has been the same since that they had to produce a list for RAS, which means RAS probably has your information with them. Now, whether they do something with that is up to them. They probably don't have all the manpower. I believe they're under budget to actually do any kind of tracking as a mass adoption basis. But if they want to audit individuals, they can definitely do that for sure, because they have actually partnered with coin tracking software companies that can do that for them. I just don't think they can do a mass audit of everybody yet. But I do encourage everyone to report your own cryptocurrency earning the best you can. It does get confusing at times, so you need to find an expert for that.
Yeah, it's funny that you actually mentioned coin tracking software, because one other thing to note here regarding cryptocurrencies that I feel is that aside from it just being treated as property, a lot of times there are other ways you can actually earn from it, like the reward system, right? And that needs to get reported differently on a tax return. And for that, we need a more detailed report. And a lot of times exchanges like Coinbase or TradeStation or Kraken, they don't give us that report. We've noticed that there are software companies like CoinTracker, for instance, that will have more detailed information on allowing us or other CPAs or financial advisors to correctly report that.
Yes, definitely. So exchanges do very, very basic reporting. That's it. You don't get a detailed list. Now, in cryptocurrency, it gets very complicated if you want to go in like how you can earn cryptocurrency, because staking is easy to figure out. There's airdrops you can do. And there's the decentralized finance stuff that you can do with liquidity staking, farming, all kinds of stuff you can do. Now, it gets very complicated because if to do one thing, it goes through like 10 different transactions. By the time it spits out a number, you get a big list for one thing, right? Coin tracker info is good. CryptoTax also is pretty good. Coinly is really good too. I think I tried all 5 of them.
Really? Okay.
I have accounts on all of them. I put all my information in, and they did all that in accounting.com. There's a bunch of them. I tried at least 5. You put all your wallet address in, every exchanges with their API, and they can spit out a number. This is the catch. The catch is I did that, right? It still took me months and months to figure out because I have to go through transactions individually because those softwares are pretty dumb. Even the software can't figure out a lot of things. They'll get it wrong. Yeah.
So when you use the 5 different software programs, did you get vastly different answers?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. It can be hundreds, thousands of difference.
Well, that's scary.
It's very Robert knows this. I was telling him a number and next week's a different number. I'm just like, okay, this is wrong. I got to go back and go through individual transactions to do that. This is the problem is when you do that, it takes a lot of time, right?
Right.
And because I could have 3,000 transactions a year, right? And you got to go through each one of them and you got to track the wallets. And if it's wrong and whatever, you got to correct it manually, right? So go ahead.
Well, and certain transactions, tell me if I'm wrong, but certain transactions are not taxable.
Yes. So some transactions need to be taxed, and the software doesn't do that. Some don't need to be taxed, and the software figure it needs to be taxed. So that's why I said it gets a little complicated. So in the software, it's getting smarter, obviously, by the day, because we didn't have this luxury with the software, 4 or 5 years ago, for sure. So this is something that's been developing the past few years, so getting better and better. So with time, I think would be pretty good, which is not there yet. There's so much development because cryptocurrency is a software, right? It upgrades itself every day with different projects, right? With the upgrade and different contracts and different, whatever, it changes the parameter of many things, right? So it's hard to keep up with all the development. We joke about it in cryptocurrency. 1 month in crypto is it's like 10 years in traditional finance. It changes so fast.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and then one thing you haven't discussed yet, and I guess one thing that got a lot of publicity, at least in the early days, was mining.
Yes. So mining is getting phased out. Mining is basically a proof of work algorithm, such as Bitcoin. Basically, you have to run a hardware like computer, supercomputer of some sort. Then they use the processing power, and they mine these. They solve these algorithms, equations to mine Bitcoin. In exchange, the network gets the supercomputing power to secure itself. As a matter of fact, Bitcoin mining algorithm has never been hacked ever since the beginning, right? So it is probably the most secure network in the world. Meaning that if you imagine you put your ID and medical records on there, that can never be hacked. That is getting stronger every day. That would be, incredible, right? Because we know, our records gets hacked all the time, with Facebook and whatnot. But the new coins that's coming out, they are changing to what we call staking, meaning that you don't mine anymore. You stake your coins to earn rewards. So we're moving away from that. So Bitcoin and a few other coins are still doing the mining, but it's getting phased out. In a few years, that won't even be a thing anymore.
And I don't know about the other currencies, but Bitcoin only has a finite number available, right?
That's correct. So Bitcoin only has 21 million ever, meaning that I think we're getting close to like 190 or maybe. So we're getting close to mining the last ones, meaning that it will get harder and harder to mine because the algorithm will increase in difficulty every so often, and require more mining hardware to mine the same amount of Bitcoin. And there's a halving event every 4 years. The reward gets half every 4 years. So with that said, once all the Bitcoin gets mined, that's it. There won't be any more created. So very different than how we print money, where we can print unlimited amount of money. A Bitcoin is basically a depreciating asset. So as more people adopt Bitcoin, there's less to be had because everyone wants to hold some, right? So I think we're only at 3% to 4% of world population that actually owns cryptocurrency in the world. It means that when the mass adoption comes, the Bitcoin price will have to go up from the demand supply level, right?
Now, is this the same for all cryptocurrencies, or is this just unique to Bitcoin?
So finite coins are unique to a small portion of the coins.
Okay.
For example, like Ethereum is now unlimited. Ethereum does not have a limited supply. Now Ethereum Classic, its old version has a limited supply. So it depends on the math that's running the algorithm. Some can actually decrease. There are some coins that actually gets less as you use them. They burn themselves. So they go from a lot to little in about 10 years. So it depends on the algorithm and what the purpose is for.
You actually started talking about an important category of the cryptocurrencies. But before we get into that, can you maybe tell our listeners a little bit about blockchain and how that works?
Yeah, so definitely. So blockchain, like I said before, is an open ledger, right? Mm-hmm. So blockchain is basically like trains on a track, right? You would have each block is a finite storage of a data, right? So you write into the block, each block that has a date and timestamp on top of it. And once this block is mined, it gets stored on the blockchain. And the next block comes in, more data goes in, and it gets mined, it goes in the blockchain, right? So essentially, we are storing history of finance on a blockchain, meaning that if you want to go back to 2012, at 2 a.m. at a certain block, you can point to it and go, okay, on this block, this happened, right? And you can never change that ever. You cannot alter the data ever. So which means the data is immutable. You cannot change that. And everyone can actually see that. If you want to see a certain block on a Bitcoin, you can do that. That also means you can use this blockchain technology to do a lot of stuff, such as finance, right? We know banking records, transaction records, and Bitcoin does not allow double spending, meaning that in cryptocurrency world, if you double spend, because the block needs to be mined, they will verify if there's another transaction with the exact same number somewhere else that is happening at the same time. And if there are two transactions happen, one of them will be rejected. Obviously the fake one, right? Mm-hmm. And so you cannot double spend an asset, which is different than traditional finance, which happens all the time, right? So it also means, if you want to apply the technology to, say, tracking, like supply tracking, because we know like supply chain right now is pretty messed up with the COVID and manufacturing. So everyone have their own islands of data, right? With blockchain, you can do supply chain tracking, they're being used all over the world. People just don't know about it. And also, you can do medical. You can store, say, medical X-ray stuff or scan on a blockchain. And you can have the AI technology to scan that blockchain to cross-reference certain diagnosis, and you can get a diagnosis from an AI robot from a blockchain stored record in like 0.1 second. So that's something that's being developed right now. And driving, you can apply that to like cars. Cars can access blockchain, so they can know where all the cars are, all the traffic. So it can be applied to every single thing in our life, basically. Yeah,
that's unbelievable. So if someone starts investing in, I mean, you get a newbie, and if they start investing in cryptocurrency, what if they don't have, $65,000, which is the value of one Bitcoin today? What if they don't have that much to get started?
So that is definitely a good question. I have a lot of friends says I don't have $65,000 for one Bitcoin, and my answer is Bitcoin is a software, meaning that it is not a coin physically, like a physical coin you have to buy, not like a gold coin or silver coin. You can buy 0.000001 Bitcoin if you want to. You can buy 5 Bitcoin, 5.4 if you want to, right? So you can own this in fraction, as many as it's just like a number. You can divide it infinite.
Well, it's interesting. We've all seen that picture of a Bitcoin, so you tend to think it's something physically out there somewhere.
Exactly.
It looks like a gold coin.
Exactly. It's definitely not. So it is it only resides in cyber world, meta world, right? So all this stuff is very connected to the meta world that, Facebook is talking about lately, right?
Right.
So Bitcoin is a math algorithm, right? So when you purchase a Bitcoin, you don't actually own a Bitcoin. You own the key and the hash to a address on a blockchain that says this person has one Bitcoin. Okay. So your asset actually lives on a blockchain. You don't actually have it in your own hand. You have the key to an asset, right? So that also means you can never lose it, really. It doesn't belong on a USB drive or an exchange account. It's all they store is a key to the coin, basically, to your asset.
So what happens if, I'm sure you know the story about the guy over in Britain that invested very early on in Bitcoin, and I guess his girlfriend threw away the hard drive, and now it's worth, $65 million or something, and he's looking for the hard drive in the landfill?
Yeah, so that laptop he's been using, So the rumor has it he mined like 100,000 Bitcoin or something.
Jeez.
So it's worth like hundreds of billions of dollars. This is the problem is with the early days of Bitcoin, you don't have a hardware wallet. You have a software wallet. At that time, they can only store their Bitcoin on a computer, right? Which means if they lose the computer, they lose the access to the Bitcoin forever, forever. That also means there's actually not 21 million Bitcoin in the world. We're estimating there is at least 4 million Bitcoin that is lost somewhere along the way. So there is not 21 million Bitcoin like everyone is thinking there are.
Okay.
So there's less than that. So when you lose an asset like that, you lose the key that points to the where the asset is, and you lose access to it forever. Like literally, you can never find it ever again. No, gone.
And what do you think of the future of cryptocurrency? And the reason I ask that is because some countries have actually, like China, have actually banned the use of it.
That's a good question. So Bitcoin is not regulated by any governmental bodies. So it doesn't belong to one country, one government, or one area. It is basically, decentralization of finance, right? Which means China cannot say what you can do, what you cannot do with the Bitcoin. And China hates not able to control anything, right? That's why they have their own Facebook,
right.
They have their own Google, they have their own currency. So most people are not aware of this. China has a centralized digital currency, just like Bitcoin, that is operating right now in many different regions. And it is their own Bitcoin, basically. They control it. They can see what's on the books. They can track everyone's money movement. This is what they want. They do not want Bitcoin. They don't want people exporting their money from China out to the United States or Australia. They don't want the capital exit, which they have been having the past few years. They want to control the capital inflow and outflow, which Bitcoin does not allow them to do because they cannot tell Bitcoin network what to do, right? So if anyone in China wants to send 10 Bitcoin out to Argentina, they can do that. It'll be there in about, within a minute, right? So they don't want that. And really, United States don't want that either because, you can have, some government that we say you cannot do business with, like Iran, they can export their oil to China for a set, and they can pay in Bitcoin or whatever, get Bitcoin instead. I don't know. So a free currency that's not controlled by any government is basically looked down by the government. Now, does that mean people in Venezuela that has a currency problem, that has inflation, where their currency inflates like 10,000% in a month? Now, is it a good currency for those kind of people? I say definitely, because it could replace their own currency as a value storage, right? So
right, I can see how that would work and be a good alternative if the people were knowledgeable enough to be able to execute a transaction in cryptocurrency.
Right. I think in the United States, we're going to get regulation eventually. Once that day happens, you will hear on the news, oh, Bitcoin is actually safe now, go buy it, right? But until then, you'll get very conflicting views on it. You'll get one day is good, one day is bad. But I tell you, smart money is jumping in and has jumped in the past few years. Like Shark Tank guy, Kevin O'Leary,
yes.
Right? He just said he has 10% net worth in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that yesterday.
Exactly. He was the guy that was bashing Bitcoin for like many, many years, right? So you can't really, how do I say, you make your own judgment. I encourage everyone to make their own judgment on this. When, like if you're a fisherman, right? You don't get good fish on a clear day, right? You get good fish on a stormy day, on a stormy sea when the ocean is churning, get all the fish from the bottom of the sea up on the surface so you can get more fish, right? When something is very clear asset that is safe to get, it is definitely not going up anymore.
Interesting. Interesting analogy. Well, that's great. So, Will, is there anything else that you would like to add? We're kind of at the end of our time here for the podcast. Anything that you want to leave the viewers with?
Yes.
Listeners.
Yeah. So listeners, so this is my view on cryptocurrency in general. I think you will hear more about cryptocurrency in the future, much more, right? It's probably time for you to take a objective look in the technology, which since it is a technology, right? This field is maturing, right? It is definitely a metaverse currency in a digital world as we are moving into digital world. If you notice, everything around you is getting digitized, right?
Right.
Your life, your assets, everything, right? And as we go in digitization of lives, the only way you can actually get a identity that's in the digital world is through blockchain, because blockchain is the only way you can identify something that's unique in digital world. This gets assigned a certain number to it, right? Otherwise, you're just an MP3 that lives on the cloud, right? That's not the same as a album that's signed by Elvis, back in the day, that's worth a lot, right? So,
right.
As we move into the digital world, I think I encourage everyone to look into the blockchain technology that's involved. More companies are going to announce they're involved in this field. If you want to get involved in digital world, as in the digital currency world, you have to do your own research. You have to, study on, maybe go to Coinbase.com. There's a learning section. You can watch some videos. Definitely don't think this is like a Dogecoin thing where you buy, $1,000, you'll be a millionaire. That's not going to happen anymore. Okay. As the field matures, the volatility is going to come down. Now, until it does, I think it's worth getting a small percentage in your portfolio and see what it does. So,
well, and speaking of information sources, I think you had told me earlier that there was a webinar on the Gemini.com website.
Yeah, Gemini.com has a webinar where you can watch. It basically tells you from A to Z what cryptocurrency is, how to store them, how to protect yourself. Coinbase also has the same thing. And as a matter of fact, I think on Coinbase you can watch some videos and earn some cryptocurrency from watching videos. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah, get involved, and it's not for everyone, and not everyone's ready for this. But if you're the more adventurous kind, I think you should look into cryptocurrency as part of your portfolio investment.
Well, we thank you very much for being on today, and certainly has piqued my interest. more than before. I mean, I think I pretty much had a closed mind before and had pretty much made a decision not to invest in crypto in my life. Now you've got me wanting to go out and buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. So we'll see how that goes.
All right.
So if anyone wants more information, get in touch with our office. That's Ash. You want to give them the address?
Yes, of course. So if you guys have any questions, or if you guys have any feedback for us, or want to know more about crypto or any of our other episodes, feel free to reach us at info@eandassociates.com. And of course, another good source for this information would be coinbase.com or gemini.com, as Will has mentioned earlier. And yeah, let's all remember that we should learn more about this and try not to be an MP3 on the cloud.
All right. Thanks, Will. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening today. Be sure to subscribe to Beyond Bite Wings on your favorite podcast platform. For more info, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, or reach out to us on our website. You can also shoot us an email at info@eandassociates.com.